Hello friends, it's Cassie and welcome back for another video here on my YouTube channel. As you can see, this is a special one. This one is the Craft Collabs collaborating with Wow Embossing Powders, and I will talk more about it as we get going, but let's talk about what we're using. So obviously some Wow Embossing Powders. This is the trio called Merry and Bright, and I'll show you what it looks like on some white. And I put that on my caps so that I know what to expect. And then actually at the bottom, I went ahead and did them on some dark cardstock. So they definitely look a little bit different. And I highly suggest when you do have embossing powders that you try them out on different cardstocks, because sometimes they can look very different on the different cardstocks. So let's go ahead and get started with our card. We're going to make a slim line, and I have 3 die cut circles. We're going to make ornaments. So I'm going to start with that medium size one. I'm going to put my embossing ink, just put it right down onto that piece of black cardstock. And then I'm going to take the vanilla luster. That's what this one's called, and it's so pretty. And then I'm going to heat set that till that is smooth and melted. I tried to start by doing it in my hands. I'm using my Wow embossing heat tool. I love this tool because it actually has 2 settings, and I haven't found that on any others. Maybe there are some that have that, but I like that this one has a low setting and a high setting. So we'll heat set that one, clean up our mess, and then we'll move on to the smaller one, which we're going to use the flaming luster on, and it is beautiful too. So again, same process, and then we'll cover it with that embossing powder. But like I said, this is a collaboration, so we're doing a video hop, and the next person in the hop is going to be listed down below in my description box at the very top. There is a gift card available, so be sure to comment along the way. And if you get lost, I'm going to have all the information down below in my description box, but it's also hashtag driven, so you can check out hashtag Wow Embossing Powder. The hop closes on August 28th. So all right, moving on to our third one. We're going to cover that biggest one with that same embossing ink, and then I like to shake up my embossing powders just in case there are bits in there, and these have more than just like green. There's like gold in there and just gorgeousness all in it, as you can tell, because once it's heat set, you can see the different bits of powder in there. And I love watching embossing powder melt. It's just so satisfying. All right, so now once that one's done, we'll clean up our mess again, but let me show it to you up close. How pretty is that? Oh, so pretty. Okay, I wanted to show you that you can emboss your sentiments easily too. I have some of this double-sided adhesive. I'm peeling off the release paper on one side. I'm going to take a white piece of cardstock and stick it on edge, and then actually wrap that around that cardstock. So this is now, it has adhesive on both sides and release paper on both sides. This was just an easy way to do it, and I'm going to trim off any of that excess adhesive. But now there is adhesive on both sides. I'm going to take a die that says Merry Christmas and run that through my die cutting machine just a couple times, just to make sure that it has gone all the way through. And then what I'm going to do is peel off the word. You know, I'll start with Christmas, making sure that I get each of the little bits in between taken care of. And then, as you can see, I have a black piece of cardstock. That's going to be my cardstock panel, or my card panel. It measures 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches. So now I'll stick down Christmas at the very bottom, and my biggest issue is just trying to keep it straight. So you could use liquid glue. I actually don't recommend it though, because you're going to have glue that could potentially seep out the sides. And because I'm going to use embossing powder on this, that embossing powder will stick to that adhesive, and you just don't want that. So now I'm taking the little dot to the eye and sticking that down as well. We'll pull out the word Merry, and we'll adhere that down also. And I still have that release paper on the front part of the words. So just trying to stick that down straight. Like I said, that was my biggest issue. And now that that's down and it's good and on there, I'm going to peel off the next part of the release paper. Getting everything ready first. And I decided I wanted to use that flaming luster. I thought about the teal luster, but I really like that flaming. So I'll peel off this release paper after I used a magic powder bag on everything. So magic powder bag first, now peel off the release paper, and then cover that with that Flaming Luster embossing powder. So it's that easy. And then I did get a little bit of powder in a couple places I didn't want it, so I'll use a little paintbrush and wipe that away. But that's why I used the magic powder bag before I took off the release paper also, to help with that. And then you just heat set it like normal. And I love that. It's wonderful. Okay, our next step would be to start adhering down our baubles. This one's going to hang off the edge a little bit. I like doing that with a lot of my cards because it just kind of gives the illusion that there's more going on outside of the card. And I'm using a liquid adhesive. You could use any adhesive you have. Liquid seems to be my favorite because I have a tendency to need that wiggle room that liquid glue gives you. So now I'm putting down my next one, which is the smaller one. And it doesn't look like much right now. It almost looks like I'm putting planets down. It'll come together though. Can you see those little rectangular craft pieces? Those are going to be the tops of my baubles. I just cut those out, just kind of free-handed them. And then now we'll bring in some brown ink that I have just to give a little bit of dimension to these. I'm just putting it on one edge. And if you were good with, like, you know, just hand stuff, you could probably take some sort of an embellishment, a liquid embellishment, and decorate your baubles, but I'm not going to do that. I, at this point, was starting to stick down those tops, and then I remembered that I wanted to put twine on there, so I peeled that off quickly. I'm going to cut down the twine that I have, make it longer than the actual paper, because I'm going to wrap that around the end. And liquid glue works fine, but some sort of very strong dry adhesive would work here as well. But I'm going to stick with the liquid adhesive for now. Again, gives me a little bit of wiggle room. Just really pushing down. I found that Barely Art glue works really, really well. Dries pretty quickly and it is nice and strong. All right, not concerned about sticking those to the back just yet. We're just going to put the twine and the top on. So we'll do that for each one of those. And once all of those are adhered, I'm going to grab out some 1/2-inch score tape. This is just a strong double-sided adhesive, and it's a dry adhesive. So I'll peel off some of that and stick that on the back. That is what I am going to, once I peel off the release paper, I'm going to adhere my twine to so that it wraps over the edge. Looks like those are hanging from something. I love that look. And I'll manipulate those as I need to. But I think it's so cool and so fun. Now we need to get our card base ready. So I just have a piece of craft cardstock that measures 7 inches by 8.5 inches, and I am scoring that at 3.5 inches. So it will be 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches, all closed. I'll use some same liquid glue to adhere down my card panel to my card base. And then I do want to do a little bit more with the twine. So I'm going to cut little pieces of that twine and tie little bows. I'll show you. It is sped up, but I will show you how we do it close up. Just tie a bow like you normally would, and you're going to just need to manipulate that. Just keep manipulating it until you're happy with how big it is. And if you have to trim it down, you trim it down, but I'll make 3 of those, and I will put those on the tops of my baubles to make it look like those are tied on there. And I love that look. So then I'll use a dab of liquid glue and I will, make a mess. No, I'll adhere that down to the tops of each of those, just using a tiny dot. And then I do end up later on, you'll see that in the final picture, I added some white gel pen to add some little dots and stars, just to add a little bit of extra, but you could do whatever you wanted. But there it is for you. I love how this turned out. Like I said, this is the part of a video hop, so be sure to hop along and have a chance to win some WOW embossing powders. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.